In The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, we see the herd mentality, as discussed in Gladwell's Tipping Point, and shown by Nick Carraway through his actions of following the crowd, doing what seems you must do to fit in, and by going along with everyone and trying to figure out who Gatsby was. Nick has this herd mentality throughout the whole story by trying to stay under the radar and fit in and stay out of the spotlight. Nick's lack of wealth causes him to usually try and stay out of the front of the pack and try and coast by with the rest of the group. The images I chose to show the herd mentality were 1. A group of 6 individuals all walking with their hands on each other's shoulders, all with a blindfold on. This shows how no one is really taking control and everyone is just following the person in front of them and hoping that that's the right decision. This really proves and shows what the herd mentality is and the way that Nick feels about himself in group setting. The second image I chose to depict the herd mentality in this sense was a picture of a herd of cattle. It shows how everyone is just following the person in front of them and has no individuality, just trying to blend in and go from point A to point B.
I chose this third picture because it shows everyone dressed the same, but even though they're all wearing the same clothes, one of them is still different. And that proves Nick in the herd mentality.
For my third image of the herd mentality, I chose a picture of birds migrating. The reason I chose this was because when birds are migrating, they follow the leader and follow the rest of the herd. Whoever's in charge just flies where they're going, and everyone just sort of lets that happen. In The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, we see a lot of different types of characters, one being a connector. In this sense, we see Myrtle, who is a key character in the story. As talked about in The Tipping Point, a connector is someone who brings people together, connects people who may have never met without each other. Myrtle connects George, her husband, and Tom, who she is having an affair with. This connection is very important to the entire story and is what eventually gets Gatsby killed at the end. The first image I chose to show the archetype of a connector was electrical wires. The reason I chose this was because the transformers that hold the wires are an example of a connector, being that without them, the electricity wouldn't be able to get from point A to point B. Just like without Myrtle connecting Tom and George, the main plot points of the story and the murder of Gatsby at the end would not have been there or even close to the same. The second image I chose to show connector was a picture of a track relay race of 2 men passing a baton back and forth. This shows how the connection of the baton brings those two together onto a team and they can then go and win the race. Just like how Myrtle connected 2 very key people in the story of The Great Gatsby, which then was the deciding factor of what ended up happening to Gatsby at the end. For my third example of a connector image, I chose a car. The reason I chose a car is because a car is what connects most people with their family, friends, and work and everything that they do in their lives, so it's a great example of a connector. The last image I chose for my connectors was a phone. The reason I chose a phone was because it connects people with their family, friends, and their jobs and everything they do in their lives. It is a very important piece of technology that everybody in today's world uses to connect with their daily life. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed the presentation.